We are witnessing the most terrifying thing about the Detroit Pistons after coming off a blowout win versus the New York Knicks, setting a record that we haven't seen since the 80s. The Detroit Pistons have sent a serious message to the rest of the NBA, from young players stepping up and looking like legitimate decoy candidates. This team is showing that they are not to be messed with the Eastern Conference, and everything is signifying a deep run for this young team. And we're going to break down exactly why the NBA is terrified of many players: Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Ausar Thompson, and so many more. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. We're trying to reach our goal of 500 subscribers, just under 60 away. And right now, looking at it, nearly 96% of you watching this aren't subscribed. So if you want to go down and hit that free subscribe button, it would mean the world. And in return, I'll keep giving you daily content around this team. Now, the big thing with the Detroit Pistons, we know what they came off last night. A huge game versus the Knicks, of course, not having Cat or OG, but we didn't have Jalen Duren. And diving into this game, the first thing I want to talk about is the emergence of Ausar Thompson this season. We can see coming through a Sean half court. I think that shot from Brunson last postseason legit woke up something in Ausar Thompson. He was an elite defender last season, but he's approaching best in the world status this season. There wasn't a better defender on the planet last night, and I know that for sure. Now we're going to dive into a bunch of things, but just looking at Ausar Thompson as a whole, yes, the shooting needs to improve, but what Ausar Thompson has brought to this Pistons team has completely reinforced this defensive scheme that they have been rolling with all season long. Looking at Thompson, a game, but the big thing with the Ausar Thompson and what he brings is this elite defense. The defensive rating, 74th percentile. Offensive ratings actually quite high at 85th. This is a guy that brings it every single night, and we can even dive into last night when the so-called King of New York decided that he wanted to join the Ausar Asylum, and he got the first front row seats to this, where we did see Jalen Brunson come through in the 38-point loss to the Pistons. 4 for 20. It's a cool number, but not for him. And the big thing is 0 for 8. What we're seeing out of Ausar Thompson has completely changed the mold, and it's from the Detroit Pistons. It's in our DNA. Your back-to-back defensive players of the month reside in Detroit. And of course, Beef Stew won it just last month, but now we see Ausar Thompson come through. This young core of players have completely changed the mold within the Pistons organization, and just seeing this unfold as we sit at the top of the Eastern Conference and one of the top teams in the entire NBA. It's on the back of course, multiple of these guys, but of course, Ausar Thompson has been a huge part of it. Now, diving further into what we're seeing, we know Ausar Thompson has been a huge part. Cade Cunningham is getting a huge load on the offensive end when he's matched up against other teams, but Duncan Robinson came through in this game. Kevin Huerter got some minutes towards then. Catching that oop at then was not what I expected, seeing his debut in front of the Pistons, but just going through and looking at this team, of course, Caris LeVert is going to drop down the depth chart on this team with Kevin Huerter coming in. You have elite scoring coming out of Duncan Robinson and Kevin Huerter from the three-point. Of course, if Huerter can get the numbers up, we know it's at 31% at the moment. But just looking at this rotation, of course, we wish they went out and added that extra body of Michael Porter Jr., Bobby Portis. But this is a team that has completely changed things around. And of course, it's the defensive end that has been the huge part. Ausar Thompson is averaging 3.8 steals per game, 1.3 blocks over the last 4 games. He is averaging over 5 stocks a game over the span. And just looking at that game, just from last night, we've seen him go out and completely shut down anything. Cade Cunningham was huge in this. B-Ball Paul balled out last night with the 12, 6, and 4. But just looking through the numbers, of course, Ausar Thompson only 2 points in 24 minutes with 2 steals, 3 blocks, Everyone on this team was a positive. We've seen multiple guys step up. Sasser got into the game. Javonte Green looked good. We see Jenkins stepped in 7 for 11 from the field with 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. This is a team that is winning by committee, and that is what's setting them apart and scaring the NBA. You're without Jalen Duren, and you come out to make the statement. Of course, the Knicks were missing a few people, but the biggest thing is just looking how this team is continuously pushing night after night, holding up the top record in the NBA Eastern Conference, of course, and just behind OKC. But looking at the numbers, points per game ranked 6th, ranked 3rd in rebounds per game, 11th in assists. But when looking at that defensive end, ranked 1st in steals per game at 10.6, 1st in blocks at 6.3. The big thing with the team, of course, you can see the 3-point percentage, not the prettiest, but at the end of the day, this is a team that's continuously winning. And who cares if you're hitting those threes at the moment, if you're still making these games, going out to get these huge wins. And when you're looking at this compared to multiple things, I mean, looking at the Knicks last night, this is the first team to win by 30 plus points back-to-back against the Knicks since we've seen it in 86-87 by the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a team that is continuously making those statements. We're looking at the Eastern Conference. This is a team that wants to hold down that top spot. They're getting good cushion between other teams across the NBA. I mean, looking right now, 4.5 on the Boston Celtics. The New York Knicks, 5.5 games behind. The Cavs, 7.5. These are teams that are legitimately trying to win a championship, and they cannot catch up to this team going through game after game. And looking at the schedule, of course, this is a team that's going to have to face a lot of competition. Getting into the playoffs is a completely different beast. We know they're going to have to push. So looking at the upcoming games for the Pistons going through the Knicks, of course, you have that huge win. The Wizards game, we look past that. It was after deadline. Maybe the moving on from Jaden Ivey just had this team shook. But these are legitimate teams. The Knicks are beating. There's a reason, or the Pistons are beating. This is a reason why you're sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference, why you have the best winning percentage against 500 teams. We ended the Knicks 8-game winning streak. Looking at these games, the Denver Nuggets back-to-back wins, of course, not in a row. The New York Nets, but that's besides the point. We see the Golden State Warriors, the Knicks. There's so many games, and listen, you're going into some tough games coming up. The Spurs with Wemby is always a fun watch. You can work your way down. OKC. Of course, the Knicks again, the Raptors, the Hornets. These teams are going to be a bit of a challenge. But what this team continuously does is just setting them aside from the rest of the NBA. The young guys, Ron Holland stepping in with this incredible defense. Beef Stew winning Defensive Player of the Month just last month. And now we're seeing it with Ausar Thompson. This team is building something special without Jalen Duren. And I do want to touch on Jalen Duren because we thought he was going to join this dunk contest, but we do see Jalen Duren is not in the dunk contest after all. There was an ESPN report earlier this week that he accepted an invite, but then we seen coming from the NBA PR where they put out the 4 names and Jalen Duren's not on this, so it's a little interesting. Either way, an all-star, so that's all that matters at the end of the day. But fans, what is your thoughts on this? What is your thoughts on this team? What is your thoughts on Ausar's defense? Because last night was a masterclass. Look at that block with the offhand. This guy has been incredible, and he's going to continue to grow with this young team that is meshing together. Yes, the deadline was disappointing, but maybe looking at this team, you want to see what they can achieve as a group after a lot of guys stepped up. Jenkins, of course, 50 out of 50 games, so you need that contract to sign in on the one way. But what is your thoughts? Who is the biggest just surprise within this Pistons team? Let us know down in the comments because it's awesome reading through them. But I've been your host, Mark, and take care, Pistons.